Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. And excuse Mike Brenner. I'm Peter Loshak. We are continuing our team-by-team coverage of the NFL. Previews 2016, the Philadelphia Eagles is what we're taking a look at now. And, Mike Brenner, obviously a ton of, uncertainty with the Eagles, and most of the signs that are partially certain are pointing down, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're in the rebuilding mode, recovery mode from the Chip Kelly fiasco. So, how well will they be able to cover long-term? How much will they be able to recover this year? Obviously, there's all sorts of issues at quarterback. Not really the healthiest situation, at least from what I'm seeing. I mean, who knows what the vibe is, behind the scenes. But it's, Sam Bradford, obviously a talented guy, but he's looking over his shoulder. That can't be a healthy situation. They're they're plus 400 to win the NFC East, minus 500 to not win it. And the season win total 7.5. The under is minus 195. And just, there's some positives to this team, but considering how many positives are on other teams and how many serious negatives there seem to be, I'd have to lean under on that one, right, Mike Brenner?
Absolutely, Pete. Minus 195 is really a high number for me to back anything, but you know what, with the disaster that they're trying to rebuild, I think it's pretty sharp. I think it's a smart investment, and that's why they have limits in team totals. But, you're looking at a team that just had one of the worst defenses in football last year.
Right.
All right, they bring in an offensive guy who used to actually quarterback them, Doug Peterson. All right, you got running backs that, Pete, I mean, they're just old.
Mm-hmm.
Darren Sproles, Matthews, Ryan Matthews, Brent Selleck, the tight end. I mean, their offense is got a lot of question marks, and you've got Chase Daniels behind Bradford, and then you got Carson Wentz, who they drafted, but that's a work in progress.
Yeah,
so
the whole thing's a work in progress.
Yeah, the whole thing's a work in progress. I think they're the worst team in that division. This is my Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, I bleed they're green, but I'm about making money, and guess what? I'm going to be fading these guys early and often. I think the lines will adjust rather quickly, though. But I think they might even get blown out more so than not this year.
Yeah, I mean, for our Yahoo show, we already took a look at their Week 1 line, and they're more than a touchdown favorite over Cleveland. Now, as bad as Cleveland is looking,
got to take Cleveland on that one.
I'm not seeing much more with the Eagles here. Yeah. I mean, most teams, I feel like most teams, either the elite teams or the mid-range teams, when you're doing your previews preseason, they seem like they have, some positives, possibly some major positives. So whenever there's a team like the Eagles where I'm just not seeing, what's the maximum, what's the ceiling for these guys? It's low. Yeah. I have to think that, other teams are going to improve and they're going to stagnate at best, which means they're likely to be overvalued.
And Pete, they're rebuilding everywhere. This is a team that was 7-9 against the spread last year, but you cannot whatsoever, base that off of last year. I think that number is going to fall drastically. Your defensive coordinator, who they're bringing in, is Jim Schwartz from the Lions. All right, he's no saving grace for defense. And then when you speak about saving grace, it most certainly didn't happen on the offensive coordinator who Doug Peterson hired. All right, he hired Jim Reich. Remember the old Jim Reich? Frank Reich. This guy is coming in from San Diego. All right, they only won 4 games out there last year. He gets fired, and the Eagles go, hell, there's a hell of a good hire. Let's get him. Yeah. All right, I don't get it. I think this team is really going to be bad for a minute. Chip Kelly, I don't know if he was solely responsible for that disaster, but that's what it is, and I have a feeling it starts with ownership on down. Yeah. But cashing tickets, I'm going against them, Pete.
All right, maybe early in the season we want to look to bet against them, especially in Week 1 with the Browns. Maybe things will start to come together later on in the season, so maybe in the second half or the third of the season or something like that. Think about looking to bet on the Eagles, but as of right now, I have to be thinking to bet against them. And with the win total, it's 7.5 minus 195. Anything can happen, but I have to think that getting to 8 wins is a stretch for this team, right?
Absolutely. And Bradford wasn't happy going into camp. He just was not a happy camper either. So I don't know, Pistol Pete. I think you got to fade them Eagles.
All right. I think those are some nice leans, and don't forget to check out SBR odds this upcoming football season. If you have multiple books, that's where you can compare lines, get the best line every time, right, Mike Brenner?
Absolutely, and check out OCDpicks.com as well for Pete and I. We got WNBA and Canadian football.
Always on the go? Bet365 has one of the top mobile platforms in today's market. Sign up today and don't let your busy life keep you out of the game.